Like a perspective.
Well, folks, I just wanted to come and show you a few things today. I wanted to let you know that life is not as bad as you think it is. There could be a bunch of things going on, but there's always somebody worse off than we are. Case in point, let's take a look at this. All I want to say before I show you this is, and you thought you were having a bad day. Here you go. Now that's a bad day. He's having a bad day. He is having a bad day. This right here is amazing. Rachel and Marty and Deb Woods, hello, Watchful Alert. I see you are here at 1:21 a.m. giving us good vibes. Can you guys hear me? Is it too loud? Because I don't want to be blowing up people's speakers. I don't know what's been going on with me in this sound today. But look at that. Now, is that a bad day, or is that now he's having a bad day? Can you imagine what must be going on for? I mean, we thought we had it bad. I'm telling you, it must be bad all the way around. Anytime you got a little monkey that the Chinese have put a cigarette in his mouth. And so that's what this is from. I just thought that it was funny, and I just couldn't take it. I was like, this right here. You know it is bad. They are actually doing this, and this is apparently a story that they have. I don't want to show the whole thing because there's bunches of pop-ups all over it, but this is really sad when you consider. Now, listen, when we think we have had it bad, I just want to let you know that there's somebody or a monkey that may be doing far worse than you. How is everybody today? I just wanted to break the ice with that because I really honestly thought, are you kidding me right now? Is this where we've gone? I don't even know why they would do it. And like I said, the story had all kinds of pop-ups coming up, and I don't know how to stop all the pop-ups, you guys. I really don't. All you got to do is go look at one, look at a mixer, and then you're getting commercials for mixers all over the place. So this right here, and I'm going to get into what we're talking about today, but I just could not prevent myself from looking at this because it was just amazing. But it says that the primate was allegedly forced to chug on the cigarette at the Hangzhou Zoo, the Chinese province of Hebei, in the apparent attempt to discourage people from the habit. But the footage was shared later on TikTok, and it sparked a fury among animal lovers and has now been deleted from the social media site. Now, the monkey, believed to be named Banjin, is seen sitting on a tiny wooden stool wearing a purple jumpsuit style garment, dipping his head in and out, and blinking as it appears to try to avoid the smoke getting in its eyes. So apparently this was one of the ways that they decided they wanted to, discourage people from smoking there in China. And I don't think that they thought about the backlash that they could possibly get. But for me, when I saw this, when I first opened this and I saw it, I just thought to myself, are you kidding me right now? This is what they've resulted to? This is, I mean, so this is the way that they want to stop people from doing it. But to me, it's just like if I had to write a caption, it would be things are getting bad all over. That's exactly what I would do. And I think that's not nice for them to do that to that little monkey. But again, folks, it's wow. Anyway, today we're taking a couple of look backs, reflections with Fefe, and we're just going to go over a couple of things. Now, I know how it can be. I have a very good friend who just recently contacted me, or I should say an associate who contacted me. And I do have permission to use this instance, so please don't think that I'm using an instance that I don't have permission to use. But I do. I have permission. And so here's the deal. The individual phoned and said, hey, this is what's going on. They had just gotten married not too long before, like actually 1 month before. And they are right now at the point where they just hate their husband. And I don't understand it, because the guy's a pretty good guy, and by her own description and by, her own confession, he's a nice guy. But she just likes people who look a little different. She likes a different type of guy. So here's what I want to say. I'm going to show a few videos about things that we've already seen, things that are already on this channel, but we're going to talk about being an embarrassment to your spouse, trimming the fat, not listening to people from outside of your household so that you don't have to worry about those outside forces, who you choose to marry. Love them, take care of them, especially if you guys are, grown people and you've made good decisions, you've made sound decisions, and it looks like both of them did, because to her core, she's a nice lady, and apparently to his core, he's a nice guy. Ironically, they've known each other for several years and have just decided to, tie the knot. Both great people. But I think when we get stuck on what we wanted and then we look at what we chose, some of us get a little disillusioned in thinking that what we wanted was what we needed. And what we wanted may not always do us well. So here are just a few things that I want to show us today. We're going to talk about being an embarrassment. We're going to talk about trimming the fat, how to get those extra voices out of your head in your relationships, whether it be your working relationship, your family relationship, your love relationship, how to get them out of your head. And then finally, we're going to look at the woman who always claims that she's strong and independent and she doesn't need a man. Let me tell you something. It is not an easy thing to live with man or woman. If you're a husband, you will affirm that, yes, it is a very difficult thing sometimes to live with the wife. And if you're a wife, you'll say, yeah, sometimes it's a little difficult to live with him. But then again, you got to remember, we're bringing two people together. And if there is mutual respect, and mutual love and mutual kindness, we should be able to do pretty good. Now, I count 11 on my side over here. Can somebody else on the opposite side give me a count? And I thank all of you guys for coming back to the channel and double checking your thumbs up once you've given it to the channel, because as you know, and some have screenshotted me some amazing things, some of them have not necessarily stayed put. So if you notice that your thumbs up is not there, please put it back. Put that back. And I've been in a pretty good mood lately. I've been making myself laugh. And I tell you, that picture with that poor little monkey, I just thought when I opened it, I said, are you kidding me? Barring whatever the reason was, I just thought that it was funny. So anyway, yeah, put your thumbs up, you guys, and thank you for that. And for all of you who want to become channel members, if there's not a button on your screen to do so, please screenshot that and send it to me so that I can get the technical support and the help, because they ask me, what do you mean? It looks like your button's there to us. What's your problem? Well, the problem is I'm getting people saying they don't see the button and they want to join. So with that said, if you don't see a button and it's on your screen, go ahead and let me have it. Send it to me at Felicia at FeliciaLockhart.com. Again, Felicia at FeliciaLockhart.com. And today we are simply taking a reflection. I want to ask you the question, are you an embarrassment to your spouse? And we're going to go on ahead and just start to take a look at some of those videos from a blast from the past. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. And this, and you know what, ladies, yeah, sometimes we can be, but this is specifically because of this particular situation. Amy Duran, hello to you. You were on my heart at about 4 a.m. this morning, and I want to let you know that I went in for you. I'd already interceded for you the day that you asked us, but at 4 a.m. this morning Central Time, sister girl, you were on my heart, and you or somebody that I was having a conversation with Yah about. How about that? So there you go. All right. So We're specifically looking at these 3 videos. Remember, you guys, because somebody called and said, I can't stand him. I don't know why I did this. But then they realized that they do care for him. And I think it's because they thought they wanted something else and that something else didn't want them. So they took what they thought they could. So here it is. If that's the situation you find yourself in and you've made yourself committed to that person, you still got to rock it the right way. You still got to do what you're supposed to do. Keep other people out of your head. Don't listen to what other folks say. Learn to love your spouse for who they are, because they show enough loving you for who you are. Here we go. They show enough loving you for who you are.
Are you the woman that always has to be right? Is anybody else in the conversation ever going to get a word in edgewise? Do you feel like you have to push your way in to make sure that people know you mean business? Well, that was me many years ago. Back in the 80s, while my former husband was military, I remember us being in a really big quandary. We had a big problem, and it was because I had a big mouth. I really did. I was in the grocery store with him. We were in the commissary, and there was a really rude cashier. Now, looking back in hindsight, I could have handled the situation differently. But at that time, I had to let her know that she needed to get it together. Let me tell you what happened. After I let her have it and snatched that receipt out of her hand and pushed those carts, because we had 4 kids and a whole bunch of groceries, pushed those carts out into the parking lot, I felt vindicated. I felt like I was right and she was wrong, and I put her in her place. Yeah, I felt like that until the first sergeant called both my husband and myself in his office. And he let us both know, sir, if your wife doesn't get it together, she can go home, because we did not issue you a wife at all. So if she can't act correct when she goes into any public place on this base, she will find herself back in California. They also let my husband know that if I stayed and I kept cutting up like I did that day with that cashier, that he would lose either money or stripes or both. So the topic that I want to talk about today is, are you an embarrassment to your spouse? Women, do you cut up so bad that your husband cannot hold his head up? Here's a good one. When you go to your family's house with him, to his family, do you cut up and do they think to themselves, oh my God, I don't mind if he comes, but she just acts so ugly? Are you the spouse that gets upset with your husband in a public place because he's just not doing something your way? Do you lambaste him and talk down to him in the presence of others? Now here comes the good stuff, right? This is the good stuff, because these are the questions that I have to ask. And I want to tell you something. It's okay, because if you are that woman, I want to encourage you today to take a couple of steps back. Look at the situation and remember, there is a tomorrow. If you cut up like that today, there will be a tomorrow. Will the ramifications of your actions cause a depletion in his pay? Will the ramifications of your actions cause him to pull away from his family a little bit when you really all could just get along? If that's the case, then I want to encourage you today to deepen your prayer life. Get closer to God. Ask God to examine you. You begin to examine yourself. So often we as women want to pray, God, change my husband, change the circumstances, change the situation, Lord. We want to do all of that. But rarely do we say, God, fix me. That's a very, very humbling thing to do, because it requires that we look at ourselves. It requires that we admit when we're wrong. And that's what I want to encourage you today. If you're listening to me, I want to encourage you to be the examiner of yourself, not of the circumstance, because those people who cut up and act wrong like that gal did at the store that day, I'm sure that her behavior eventually bit her in the rump later, because she probably pulled those same stunts she did with me on somebody else. But imagine the difference had I handled myself differently. Right? So I want to encourage you, don't embarrass your husband at the barbecue. Don't embarrass your husband when you go to his job picnic. when you go someplace and you think that there's somebody out there that he might be picking at, looking at, or maybe the boss has been really rude to him and prevented him from being there for the baseball game for your son or your daughter the weekend before, don't do it. Find out what God needs to correct in yourself. What do I need to do to be more fitting to you? And when you begin to do that, you will begin to self-correct. And you'll see that all the situations and the problems that you may have thought you had really aren't as big as you made them out to be. This is Felicia Lockhart, and this is the Lockhart Perspective.
Now, that video was from over a year ago, but I think that it's still apropos when we consider some of the ruckus that women can cause, and sometimes men too. You know what I mean? And it just happens. Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and Dan Schramm. I hope Dan Schramm is still here. Hey, Dan Schramm. Sarah Brown, Marty Lauderdale, how are you today? And there is the pretty lady, Sharon Marie. It's so good to see you as well. You know, I think sometimes we don't really think about how our behavior can make us look. And really, there was a part there where the actress, I forgot what her name is, but I clipped that in there from a couple of years ago. And it says, I can't embarrass you any more than you've embarrassed yourself. Don't you know that that's how that is when you're cutting up and you're just going ham? You know what I'm saying? And most of the time, poor guys just sit there letting you go ham because they already know that there's really nothing that they can say that will actually help them win an argument with a woman who's just going off. So that was the first thing. All right. And like I said to Rachel Van Ziel, Rachel says she made a comment and she goes, yeah, she does that. And I'm like, you know what? But that's okay. I did it too. And there's a lot of us sometimes, not everybody, but there's a lot of us who can take a step back and look at ourselves. And if we're really trying to change, we can be honest and say, you know what, this really isn't as bad as I thought it was. And it's really not that bad for this person because the husband he's a professional. He's a nice guy. He put her in a home where she didn't have one. It's like getting married in a later age. You're taking advantage and you're getting things that are, when you become in covenant with somebody, you're gonna receive everything that he has. And that's what he did. He literally enveloped her. And there's another thing that I notice a lot of times these days is when we get married at an older age, sometimes we do not think about the fact that aren't we tired of physically working, having to carry all the load on our own? And isn't the purpose of a spouse, especially of a good man, isn't his purpose to cover us and to take care of us as women? Sure it is. So knock it off with the I need to have my own money. I need to have my own job. My mama and them told me to do X, Y, and Z, but your mama and them are not in your marriage. Your mom and them are not in your marriage, and I guarantee you, just like your mom and them wasn't paying your bills for you before you got with that fella, your mom and them not going to take care of you when you leave him or he decides he just can't take anymore. These are important topics that I don't think that we're facing anymore because we're so distracted by a bunch of stuff. It's all about I-ism. I, me, my. And it can drive us bats. So we don't want to get to the point where we say, well, even though I'm married, I still need to have my own money. I still need to do my own thing. I'm strong and I'm independent. Take all that stuff that starts with an F and throw that in the garbage can. Throw it in the trash can. Trust me when I say it. Now, I'm going to tell you something also, because I've been at the situation in my life where I haven't had that thought process. And then I'm facing, I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, well, now we are facing utter, definitely separation or divorce. And then somebody will say, well, see, that's why you should have had all your stuff. That's why you should have had your money. No, because the father steps in. If there's a situation, unfortunately, where you don't want to have to deal with having to be alone, listen, trust the father. Trust the father. Because that whole thing, I'm a strong, independent woman. And black women, I've said it before, we have it the worst. I don't need no man. I'm a strong, and I don't know who gave us that, but it must have been somebody that was an enemy. I don't know, but we have that really bad, hiding money and putting money over here and doing. Nothing wrong with a rainy day, but does your husband know you got the rainy day fund? I don't know. Some husbands might spend it. I don't know whatever works in your household, but I will definitely tell you that a man wants to be needed. You hear me say this all the time. A man wants you to need him, and if you find one that is a kind-hearted person, who is a man who thinks with his left brain and not his right, okay? Because you can't make a dude Jew, right? You can't do that. But if you find a good man and you're a single woman and he wants to envelop and take care of you, he wants to envelop all your debt, he wants to envelop everything that you got going on, good or bad. He loves you. Please sit down and be quiet. Let him take care of you. If he says, I don't want you to work, let me ask you this. Have you been working for the past 15, 20 years with no rest? Well, then don't you think maybe that's your blessing? This person said, I don't want him to take my independence. I was working before I met him. And I'm like, okay, so if that's the case, then why are you marrying this guy? Because this guy, why did you marry this guy? Because this guy wants a woman who stays home. Yeah, but I'm grown and knock it off. Knock it off as we go to this next video. I know you guys may have already seen this, but again, there are a bevy of people who may not have. And so this is for that sister who has not seen it. Okay, here we go. This thing don't even work. They need to knock it off. Everybody needs to knock it off.
I think the biggest problem for black women today is that stupid phrase, I'm an independent black woman that don't need no man. That is the stupidest thing that I have ever heard. And it's even dumber coming from somebody who's married. If you're married, you're not independent in the first place. If you are married, then you're dependent, right? And you should be dependent on each other. For the woman who's not married and who's running around telling everybody that she doesn't need a man, you can have all the education, you can have all the money, you can have the house, you can have the car, but trust me, sister, you need a man. Even if you say, I only need him for one thing, you still need him. I understand that there are a lot of women out there that feel this way, but I want to really let you know that that came from our captor. They decided that the easiest thing to do was to strip the man and the woman from one another. And so now you're stuck being independent and paying for everything. And I do mean everything. I think it's a sweet thing when a husband knows that he is his wife's hero. And when that woman tells him, baby, you're the best, it makes him feel like he's on top of the world. The sweetest union is that of a husband and a wife committed to one another, loving each other and caring for each other. The wife should be somebody that the husband can trust. Ironically, every year people give that card to folks for Mother's Day. Who can find a virtuous woman? Her price is far beyond rubies. And yet and still, while we're in the marriage, we're still thinking like that of those independent people. When you are married and you are a husband and wife together, you don't need to worry about all that independent stuff. Rest. Let your husband take care of you. I remember so many years ago, and it really doesn't feel like it was that far ago, but so many years ago, there was the mom home with the children and the father, for the most part, went to work and took care of the family. Now, there are those situations where that didn't happen, but I'm talking about the large majority of the time. The husband and the wife were a unit that worked together. Just like a basketball team or a football team, each individual knew their place, and the women, for the most part, were happy with it. But we all now have this mindset of, well, I've got to have my own money. Well, I've got to have this. And then we had somebody in our ear telling us, girl, you should keep your own change. And we broke the family up by trying to go out and get minimum wage jobs to help us take care of our family, when it was really a fallacy. Because after you've had a baby, there's no way on the planet you're going to tell me that taking care of daycare is cheaper than sitting at home taking care of your house. We as women already have a big enough job. But the irony is that even though we know we have that big job, we sort of want to get back out there as soon as we've had the kids. Husband's shirts have got all kind of ring around the collar. The kids are running all over the place. Meanwhile, the husband who wants to adore the wife who really should be adored by that man, has switched the rules up so much that life is not what it should be. God created us a certain way. And if you are somebody who's looking for truth, why don't you try cracking open that Bible? Don't just open it whenever it's time for that Mother's Day card. Use it often. This is Felicia Lockhart, and this has been the Lockhart Perspective.
So Marty Lauderdale says that at the age of 16, I got a job where I worked for 5 years with pretty much all males, and I swore to myself that I'd never be the nagging type of wife because I saw it drove those guys crazy and embarrassed them. Yeah, it did. You know what I mean? It can, and it does. And you know, hey, I'm going to tell you guys, I have been with some doozies. I said, if I ever have to be alone again, I will never get married because I got a bad picker. I do. Because everyone I picked had some special traits, but I was special too. But I love the way that she put that, because she says, hey, you know what? I saw what it did to them. So what happens is, she says that it embarrassed them. Yeah. She says, that said, I also didn't used to stand up for myself enough. It took me till my 30s to learn how to deal with anyone, even the most annoying narcissists. And they sometimes will peep out people who, don't stand up for themselves. I'm a person who, in a male-female relationship, I will be submissive. And I've learned over the years to just avoid a lot of stuff that annoys me. I just avoid it. If it happens, it happens. And I'm thinking, you know what, just pick your battles. And sometimes we don't know how to just pick our battles. And a lot of times it's because we have women in our ears or family members in our ears that try to tell us, hey, if I were you, I wouldn't take this. If I were you, I wouldn't take that. They'll call, they'll be on the phone with you all day long. They'll hold you up with a bunch of stuff, telling you not only about their problems, but then at the same time hoping that, you guys can both be alone together. There are some people like that. We should just do the Thelma Louise, just take to the streets and leave these men alone. Girlfriend, bye. You better tell them bye. When they start calling you on the phone with that mess, bye. You just tell them bye, boo. Bye-bye. I don't want nothing to do with that. Sometimes you just got to trim the fat. You just gotta trim the fat of people and things that keep you from your goal. And if your goal is a good marriage, a good household, raising good, healthy children, then trim the fat. Really, trim it. Just trim that fat. Just like, you're picking some spare ribs or something. Trim it.
What's going on in your life right now that you could do without? Is it the friend that calls you and wants to absorb all of your time, and when you look up an hour's passed and you've not gotten any of your tasks done? Is it the habit that you have that you might spend too much money on? If you look back, you may have saved about $1,000 in a year if you hadn't done it. What is it that you can trim? Can you trim the fat on relationships that you know are not healthy? Yeah, we can all do that, right? Today I want to talk really quickly about trimming the fat in your life. I have a person that's in my life, or that was in my life for several years, and they began to absorb too much of my time. It took too much of my time for me to try to correct their mindset about what they thought I was doing, or what they thought I was, or who they thought I was. And one day I decided, while I was working on a huge project at work, and this person just kept texting and sending all kind of just incendiary text messages, I decided to stop for a second and tell them, just bluntly, I choose not to deal with you anymore. Why? Because they were draining me of my energy that I was directing in a positive place. Sometimes you have to take control over those relationships that you know are not healthy for you. If you're looking for that other person to just get tired and go away, guess what? They're not. Because they've been put there on purpose to make sure that you stay derailed, to make sure that you don't finish the task, to make sure that whatever it is you've got to do that you know is important, you fail at. So it's up to you to trim the fat. It's up to you, wives, when those women call knowing your husband comes home around 6 or 7 and you have things to do. When they call you, you let them know, I'm sorry, my husband's home, I can't talk. Why? Because those are traps that are set to derail you. You have to give people boundaries and let them know where you stand on all things in your life. Husbands, for that chick that's at your job smiling and grinning and she's giving you the googly eye and you haven't had that googly eye in a long time, that's a trap. You have to set your boundaries. You have to let somebody know, and you have to be definitive. There is no chance that you will ever get close to me. Please leave me alone. Why? Because you don't have time to be derailed. Every time you do something that is a waste of your time, no matter what it is, it prevents you from getting to the goal that you may have set. Now, if you've not set a goal, that's a problem too. That is a problem, because procrastination is the worst thing that you could ever be a party to. So I'm suggesting that everybody today trim the fat. Get rid of the stuff that doesn't do you any good. Think about the conversations that you have that are absolutely fruitless and don't have them again. Why? Because you're going somewhere. And when you're going somewhere, only the people who are supposed to be in the vehicle can arrive when you do. This is Felicia Lockhart, and this has been the Lockhart Perspective.
Only the people that's supposed to arrive in the vehicle can be in the vehicle. Only the people who's supposed to be with you. Boo-boo, not everybody's supposed to get in the ride with you. Not everybody is supposed to be riding shotgun. No, they're not. Not everybody. And there are some people that we drag into our relationships and our lives after we get married or after we start having a family. And because they've been around us a whole lot of long time, we think that she's cool. But if she's single, you ain't got no reason to mingle with her because she doesn't understand the things that pertain to a married woman. I'm not saying you can't have friends. What I'm saying is that friend will never understand your life from your perspective because you no longer have the same things in common. You no longer have the same concerns. You no longer have the same things in your mind. Mama Campbell, hello, and it's good to see you. So yeah, your single friends don't have the same thing going on. They don't have nothing compared to what you're dealing with. And even though they say, well, if it was me, is that Lorena? Hello, Queen. Hello, Queen in Chicago. That's what Lorena means. I say it all the time. But hello to you, lady. Good to see you. So yes, none of these people have anything to do with your marriage. None of these people have anything to do with your responsibilities. None of these people are going to let you come in their house and take care of you after you done tore your house down and ran your husband off and the cleanup woman done took him and ran away with him. That's a good one. Ain't none of them people gonna let you come in their house. None of them. Now you try to see. It might work for a day. They may feel bad for you for a couple of weeks or whatever. But honey, I'm telling you, eventually she gonna tell you to leave. She gonna be like, you know what? You causing me a little bit. You cramping my style. The single woman gonna tell the married woman that she helped talk out of her marriage, okay? She gonna tell you cramping her style because while you listening to her and she's giving you all the bad advice, she done found her a man, and in the interim, she done talked you out of yours. Now y'all living together. Now she want him to come over and, well, you can't be here. How does that work? And then it's you, your little kid, and your Datsun B210 sleeping in the Walmart parking lot. So cut them off. Knock it off, I say. Tell them to go away. Billie Jean, how are you today? Yeah, I'm happy to be hearing this. Thank you. God bless. And thank you for being here, Precious. Marta thinks that's funny. And we know that it's the truth, you guys. We know how it is. We get those people all the time that want to tell us how to handle our husbands, how to handle our situation. And listen, it's not, hey, R. Jones is here. How are you doing, R. Jones? And listen, it's not to say that the situation may not be, but the situation might be bad. But don't you know that if it's not wise counsel, that counsel does you no good? It does you absolutely no good. You don't need it. Cut it off. Let them go. Tell them how quick to get there. Or just, how about this? When you're looking for somebody who has wise counsel, not always is an old person wise, because you can have an old fool too, right? And I know within the Black community, and I don't know about other communities, but you guys chime in for others in other communities if you don't mind. But I know that in our community, we hear a lot of older women telling a lot of younger women a lot of bad suggestions. R. Jones says, when someone steps out on their spouse, they are also stepping out on their precious children. Exactly. That's right, R. Jones. That's right. Someone's giving you a little love there, Charlie. They're saying, hey, Charlie, and hey, Rachel, you're getting your next hug, y'all. That's a good thing. Billie Jean is passing the love, and so is Marty saying hey to everybody. I love it, you guys. I love it when you all love and acknowledge one another. And acknowledging one another makes people feel good because it's just important to do that. Whenever we're in somebody's space, we need to just love on them. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it's just that sometimes we just got to tell folks how quick to get there. And you can tell them in love. You can say, you know what? I so appreciate you thinking about me. I so appreciate you thinking, trying to help me with this situation. But really, really all I need is for you to just be supportive. And say, for example, you didn't give them that information. I'm going to give you two scenarios. You didn't give them the information. They stumbled upon it. Maybe they found out through the husband, or maybe they found out through the person that the husband was doing the do with. I don't know. But for whatever the reason, this person comes to you and they want to give you that information. You can thank them and tell them, thank you so much for thinking of me. But how are you? Turn it around and keep it pushing. Because the more information somebody has about your circumstances or your situation, barring somebody going upside your head. Now that I do want to let you know, somebody needs to call the police, or somebody needs to get you, a telephone number so that they can help you and get you some help. But all that other stuff, they're not going to tell you the right thing unless they tell you to seek Yah's face. If a person's giving you that type, you know what? I hear what you're saying, but I suggest you just seek Yah. Find out what he wants you to do in this situation. Now that's wise counsel. Don't you know that that's wise counsel? Billie Jean says, I've been clearing up toxic people out of my life the past couple of years. Ooh, girl, you've said a mouthful right there, Billie. That is a mouthful. R. Jones says, hello, all. I learn things every time I am here. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for all of you guys sending in emails, sending me information. I so appreciate it. You guys are right on time with a lot of the stuff that you send, and I so appreciate that. Rachel Van Zyl says, I don't talk to many older women. Mixed messages on submission. Yes, mixed messages on submission. Oftentimes people look at submission as a bad word, and it's not a bad word. There's been negative connotations put to it in order to manipulate your opinion of submission. But don't you know, when you're submitting to your husband, that you're literally submitting to the Father? Why? Because the husband is over you, and Yahweh Shah is over him. Yah is over Yahweh Shah. So let's start it. Yah, Yahweh Shah, the husband, the mother, and then the children. So when you're disrespecting your husband in that regard, you're clearly bucking against rank. And no soldier will ever be okay if he or she bucks against rank. That's how you got to look at it. Just keep it light, and laugh some at some of the things that go on. Laugh a little. Angela Courtwright Callow, I need to say hey to you. How are you? I really do enjoy you posting on Instagram. I've said that once before, but I really mean it. It's so good to see your lovely face on some of those posts that you put up, and it's good to see some of those great biblical quotes that you put up as well. Very encouraging. Don't you know that you're enlightening? You're giving somebody a light heart out there on Instagram. When they come across that, they're feeling empowered just by you putting those scriptures up. So kudos to you, sis. Good job. And pretty lady Sharon Marie says, my husband and I made a promise when we married 30 years ago that we would never talk about our marriage with others. It's our business, right? And what happens if you forgive him? Or what happens if something happens and he tells a family member and then he later forgives you? Well, now the family member can't stand you because of what he divulged, and vice versa, right? And vice versa. So we know that it is important to keep the peace in our home. And sometimes, don't you know, we may be having a hormonal moment. I'll speak for myself. I may be having a hormonal moment, and maybe I've responded in a way that shouldn't have been the way that I responded. Well, being a human being, that's up to the spouse to decide whether or not to move forward with that and or have a conversation or whatnot. But you could be acting out in hormones, call that loved one, and then after that, you tow up the whole family because they didn't like him anyway. Right? I never liked him anyway. I wanted her to marry Billy Bob. So yeah, just keep it in check. Billie Jean says, I need my sisters and brothers in Christ, my true family. And that is based on scripture. Billie Jean, that's based on scripture, because who is your family? It's those that follow Yah. That's your brother and your sister. You may find like right now that there is a lot of dissension going on in families because people don't want to hear you bring them truth. When you look in the word, say for example, you come here and our guest Ronnie Mann gives a scripture context, and you've then gone away and you've studied it yourself and you found it to be true, and then you say, oh, then I know my job is to pass this truth around. Then you take it to your family members. Don't you know that the family will shout you down? Why? Because a prophet is without honor in their own land, in their own home. home. Somebody had to tell me that recently. You know what? Don't worry about it. People aren't going to accept things when you give it to them. And the irony is, if you've planted the seed, the Father will water that thing and he will reap the harvest. Somebody else is going to water it and he's going to reap the harvest. So lay the seed down there, give them truth and love. And once you do that, the rest is up to Yah. That's exactly right. Rachel Van Zeel says, same numbers here, Mama Bear, Papa Bear. And those numbers were 20 thumbs up and 15 people present. Thank you guys for that, for keeping us in check here. I so appreciate you all. Mama Bear, Papa Bear gave you a thumbs up. Those mods are working it out, wouldn't you say? Charlie Sigler, how are you? Thank you so much for following me and IU on Twitter. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you guys follow me on Twitter? If you guys follow me on Twitter, you'll also find out exactly when I'm going to post sometimes. If I get more folks here following on Twitter, I will make sure that I post every time I'm about to go live, so that if you have your notifications set on Twitter, you'll be able to come right on over and you'll never miss a notification. I'm not always able to text, but well, honestly, because I forget. And what we're looking for now is a notification place for me to get notifications for texts, so that people can text or I can text you when we're about to go live. Just push one button. Okay, so Charlie, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for following me on Twitter. And then let's see, Billie Jean says, God wanted me to focus on him and trying to learn my worth in Christ instead of mean people. That's right. And sometimes those folks can be. If you're outranked, you're fighting a losing battle. That's absolutely the truth. That is the truth, Rachel Van Zeel. And Billie Jean says, hi, also Mama Bear and Angela. Is Angela here? Did I see Angela in here? I don't know if I saw Angela. If Angela's in here, hey, Angela, it's good to see you. I didn't know you were here. Amy Duran says, God has removed a lot of people out of my life in the last few years. That's good, sister. And you definitely do not want to go running and chasing after them, bringing that mess back to your house. Marner Campbell says, yes, indeed, marriage is sacred. Now, there's a wise woman. Marner Campbell, that's a wise woman, because it is just that. Angela Reed, okay, you're here. Hey, I love you. I don't see you here. Do you see that? Do you guys see what I mean? So that's why it's important for us to say hey to each other, because I may have clicked on her message and didn't see it, but I don't see her here. And I'm scrolling all the way back up to the messages. I don't see Angela Reed. But this is what's going on, you guys. For whatever reason, people will come in the chat and nobody recognizes them or sees them in here, and you will think I don't see it. And I'm almost all the way back up here to the top. Now I am to the top and I don't see her. I don't know if I've clicked on her message and didn't see her, but I don't see her. So that concerns me, you guys. Let me tell you why that concerns me. Because a lot of times people will come in the chat and they will be in the chat simply because, you know, and this is not Angela's situation by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying that. But sometimes they may be coming and maybe they're a little down. And maybe they want to hear something that perks them up. Maybe by typing in hello to everybody, they want to be recognized. And it's important to feel important. It is. Don't let anybody tell you different. Okay, so sometimes people will come in and we don't see them, or I don't see them. And if I don't see them, that person will say something and then they're not seen. And then they'll walk away with their head down thinking that people are ignoring them. Maybe they're being ignored on the job. Maybe they're being ignored in their life. You never know a person's place. You never know where they are. And so that's why I enjoy seeing you guys talk to people. Now, I still don't see our Angela. Is it Angela Reed or Angela Courtwright Callow? Because I see Angela Courtwright Callow, but I don't know if Angela Reed is here. Okay? So with that said, you guys, we just need to keep saying hey to everybody and keep loving on everybody. All right? Okay. And that happens because that happened with Anthony. And I know that I can say that because that happened with him, where he was typing in the chat and no one knew that he was typing. And I think the only person that saw him was Rachel Van Zeel. And then she saw him and then he was gone. And then he was not able to chat with us for a minute. He and I spoke offline. And then I brought him in the chat with me because we couldn't figure out what was going on. So I brought him right here onto the platform with me. There's more than one way to skin a cat, raccoon, or anything else with fur. Okay, and so we made sure we got that brother up here with us. Why? Because we are a family, and the people that the Father brings us into contact with that are positive in our lives and vice versa, yours to them and them to yours, we are a part of one another. We are, because it's very rare that you find people of like mind. You take this conversation of submission, for example, to somebody. They're not going to feel you on that. Some people are going to be so upset with you for even wanting to talk like that. You take the conversation that people have with the, we are woman, hear us roar type of stuff. Some women don't believe in that, and that's a good thing. But say, for example, you don't believe in it, and you're having a conversation with a woman who does. She's upset with you now, because you don't believe that a woman can do everything a man can do. I know I cannot. And I think the problem right now we're having is a lot of people believing that you can do everything the opposite sex does, much to our chagrin. Some of that stuff is a little messy. Try having your daughter in a baseball league or softball league and see what happens with the opposing team when they bring somebody out that looks like, I don't know, a hot mess. Okay, so we'll leave that right there. Don't I know about the prophet in their own home? Yes. Don't we though? We all can say we know about that. All right, you guys, it looks like we're coming up on about 45 minutes. Not going to belabor the time with everybody. I don't want to drag it out, but I did want to make sure that I stopped in today to encourage the wives, to encourage the sisters. Take care of those good men that you got, honey. Okay? All right? I have a very big announcement that I have to make here very soon to you guys, and I'm going to need all of you. Sure I am. Don't you know that? We'll all need each other at one point or another, and being transparent with each other in the right mind. But then again, if you got thick skin, you can take any opposition to any information you disseminate, right? And I think I'm there. So anyway, let's read the last of these comments, and then we're going to go ahead and close out the show. And we'll see each other really soon. Before we read all these comments, let me let you all know that on Monday at 9 a.m. Central, if you are available, please find your way here to the Lockhart Perspective. We have a guest who was with us at the top of this year, and she'll be here on Monday, November 8th, 2021. And it is Dr. Cynthia McKinney will make a second visit here. And that day we are going to talk about AI and foreigners replacing all of us. Where does that leave us, US? And it is a double entendre on the title. So please be with me here. I would appreciate your support, and it means the world to me if you would come on in and hear what she has to say on our topic of our discussion. My aunt said, "Sarah, you're so smart. You could have been whatever you wanted to be." I told her, quote, "I am a wife and a mother. That's exactly what I want to be." Close quote. I'm belittled often for being a housewife. And baby, let me tell you something. Let people belittle you all they want. If somebody had to hire you to do what you do, they'd be broke trying to pay you, baby. All right, so let's see. Charlie Sigler says yes. And I do miss you at Charlie. Did I miss you at Charlie? Hey. Hey. Hi, Rachel. You didn't miss me, but thank you. All right, so are they confusing me with Angela? I think I was confusing with Angela because of me looking at my analytics so much lately and seeing a lot of stuff going on. It's been a little discouraging for me. And so I'm making sure that anybody that comes in here gets the love and the attention that they deserve, because you never know what's going on outside of this system and this platform in their own respective lives. So that's what that was. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Something was said that I may have said that made Amy laugh or somebody else laugh. Okay, she is, but okay, you don't see Angela Reed. Okay, perhaps in the replay she'll see that I was looking out for her. Sarah Brown says, "I want to hug all your necks, but sometimes I hold back because I think I can't get everyone and don't want anyone to think I'm ignoring them. So I end up ignoring everybody." Well, I could appreciate that. Thank you for looking out, Mama Bear and Papa Bear. Thank you for looking out. And Charlie Sigler gives the best love hugs. I love his hearts. Thank you, kind sir. 24 and 18 in chat. Thank you. Now 17. The elite want an AI god. That's their end game. And that is exactly right. That is exactly what the anti is. That whole entire spirit is. It's, because it has to have something that it can animate. Sure, certainly. Something that can put you online with and control you. Yeah. Okay, same here, Rachel. And Mama Bear, Papa Bear, thank you. I just love you, Fefe. You make me laugh after a hard week. Well, I am glad, because I tell you what made me laugh today, and you guys already know that I cannot leave without showing this, because this is... This is tragic. I had to do it again, you guys, because I cannot believe that they would do this. I cannot believe that they would do this, but they did it. Oh, those Chinese are so funny. They are amazing. Anyway, you guys, it's been a pleasure being with you for the last 49 minutes and 45 seconds. I so appreciate each and every one of you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you for remembering me and for hitting that like button, for hitting that share button, for those of you who have shared me out to your other respective platforms. Thank you, guys, and thank you for sharing me with your friends and family. You guys continue to be blessed. So remember what we always say here on this channel, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High Yah. You guys take care of yourselves and take care of one another until we see each other again. Please continue to be blessed. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping